Excellent. We've got a special one for today. Coming and returning to the channel is none other than Alladan Flinn, the founder of Bitcoin Trading Cards, a project that is near and dear to my heart and soul. And for those of you that watch this channel, you probably know that as well. Alladan, welcome back.
Hey, Ian, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yes, I think you've upgraded your background significantly since our last update. And for those that might be newer to this project or that haven't checked you guys out, maybe give just like a brief overview of yourself and then of Bitcoin trading cards.
All right. I'm the founder of Bitcoin Trading Cards. The idea really started up around 2017, 2018. Spent about 4 years really just diving into the trading card world. Always been a collector throughout my life, but had no idea how much I really needed to learn to be able to start this project. At the same time, doing as much research into Bitcoin as I possibly could, because these cards are educational. Biggest thing that I found getting into Bitcoin was how hard it was to talk to friends and family, just about anybody about Bitcoin. It's another language. So art is a language that speaks fluently in every language. So utilizing the art to really capture someone's attention and teach them about Bitcoin. And then flashcards are the best. There's a reason why they've been around so long. So you can consider these cards collectible flashcards in a way, where you got the amazing art that tells the story. But then on the back of every card, you're getting little tidbits of Bitcoin education at a time. Instead of trying to get someone that knows nothing about Bitcoin to read an entire book, you're giving them little pieces at a time, which really has worked out amazing, educating all kinds of people around the world about Bitcoin.
And I can personally attest to that, right? Like this is not just a thing I find cool. Like I have personally used these cards to orange pill people in my life, kids of friends of mine, friends of mine. So like there really is something special about what you're saying of art as this language, and we'll have to maybe sprinkle in the editing some of that art, on this video so people can see. But you can, start to get a sense even just looking at the background there. Like this is a project that has brought together different amazing Bitcoin artists, and that educational component, as you said, like it becomes this really accessible thing. And building on that, you guys had what sounds like quite a year. You made, it seems like, some real strides into the kind of like normie world of trading cards, which was one of the other reasons I was so excited about this when, I mean, we spoke first like way back in 2022. This is obviously a huge market. And tell us a little bit about, some of the highlights of 2024 in general, and maybe more specifically around how you guys are starting to penetrate this more kind of normie crowd.
Yeah, so 2024, I mean, it was the halving year. So we really needed to do something very special for that. We came up with something called the Halving Edition Whale Packs. One of the coolest parts of what we get to do here is collaborate with Bitcoin artists. And being in this space since 2016 and being an artist, one of the things that captured me immediately was a lot of the incredible artists in the space. So Maddox, Fractal Encrypt, just so many incredible artists in the space. And this was a set where we got to literally collaborate with 20 of some of the top artists in Bitcoin. One of the scarcest sets of trading cards ever created. So with the new halving reward being 3.125, we created 3,125 total packs and 21 different Bitcoin artists in there. So it's definitely a chase unlike anything other in the industry. A quick caveat on trading cards in general, if you don't know much about it, if your audience is wondering why trading cards, the correlation between trading cards and the Federal Reserve is insane. It's a money print, it's paper. Then you can kind of add in NFTs that I'm not a big fan of. So that's your digital money, basically, your bank account. So it's something where these companies can literally just print at will, and they do not have to be transparent. And that's something that I love about Bitcoin is it's 100% transparent. So looking into the trading card industry, finding no transparency, finding printing at will, just the correlations were incredible. Bitcoin trading cards has a chance to make that same effect on the trading card industry. And we say, well, what does that do for Bitcoin? Well, for each person that collects these trading cards that knows nothing about Bitcoin, they're collecting them because trading cards are trading cards to a certain point when it comes to these collectors, and they want to get on the newest and greatest thing in the industry. So what we're teaching them before anything else is scarcity. If you don't understand scarcity, you're not going to understand the value that Bitcoin really brings to the world. So there's so many different similarities that we put into this project that Bitcoin has. And this is something I'm hoping that as we start breaching into the trading card hobby more and more, there's literally tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people around the world that collect trading cards. And those are potential, not just customers, but potential new Bitcoiners that obviously appreciate the idea, at least, of scarcity. They're going to really love what we're doing with our cards. And more importantly, we can get them to start to pay attention to why Bitcoin is so important and get them over that fence.
No, it's a really good point, right? Like scarcity is this kind of common understanding between, what we know as Bitcoiners and this massive addressable market in terms of trading cards. I've also gotten comments, I think probably to our last video and maybe even videos in between around like, well, you guys are awful. You're having people, buy these cards when they should just be buying Bitcoin. And one, I'm curious to hear your kind of reaction to that, Aladdin. Like my own thoughts are like that's great if we could just leapfrog everyone to a fully understanding knowing Bitcoin and like going all in on Bitcoin. As we know, it typically doesn't happen like that. And so these are sort of gateways into Bitcoin, number one. Number two, via our partnership with you guys, with Jolts and Bitcoin trading cards, people can literally get potentially their very first Bitcoin as a reward every time they make a purchase. What would you say to some of those screeching kind of comments of like, "How dare you sell a product that people want?" Like, what would you say? What would you say to that?
I mean, part of me agrees to a certain degree. It's really hard being a Bitcoin maximalist and try to tell somebody anything that isn't Bitcoin. And this is a collectible, and it's not an oven or a fridge or an item that you need for your family no matter what. This is yeah, intrinsic value. It's fun. This is not a necessity whatsoever. So in our marketing, we have a really hard time getting out there and pushing these. And to anybody that wants to kind of go to battle on that one, you can take a look at our marketing. Like we rarely ever put out anything telling people to buy these cards to our deficit. It's not a big win for us at all in that situation. And honestly, need to figure out a lot more ways of pushing these cards more, because even our slogan in our community, for people that don't know, it is stack sats before packs. So we are out and open about the fact that you should definitely be buying Bitcoin before you buy these cards.
No, and you guys have the proof of work. Like I've seen multiple videos of you guys posting from some of these, more traditional card conferences where like you're literally filming people opening these packs and being pretty open-minded and receptive. And I think the reaction at the end is like, wow, this is actually really cool. You guys have gotten great feedback there. And so I think you're doing a great job of stewarding that kind of pop culture representation of this movement that we're all a part of. And to your point around, not shilling these to your almost detriment, I also think that is true as well. And so, if anyone was curious about the sort of integrity of the team behind this, like that sort of speaks for itself and speaks volumes. So we talked a little bit about what you guys are doing and all about, and the special, halving edition, which is really, really cool. What's coming up? What do you have in the hopper for 2025?
So Series 3 is something we literally spent an entire year working on. We have something called Orange Pill in a Pack. So if you can see behind me, other side, there's an orange box. That was the first set that we ever created, just under 9,000 packs, which real quick in the hobby, most trading card companies are going to start with a print run of around 1 million to 5 million packs. They're not going to tell you the scarcity or the limit to how many they're going to print, because some of these companies will literally print up into the hundreds of millions of packs for one set. So no scarcity, in my opinion, with that whatsoever. So this is our flagship, Orange Pill in a Pack. That's what we started with. And then in 2023, we came out with FUD Busters. That was series 2 of Orange Pill in a Pack. This is the main set that is the most collectible, the one everyone goes after, mainly because it is only 21,000 packs ever to be printed in a set. So each set, like Bitcoin, is a finite supply of only 21,000 packs. And then we will not create another set until the next year. So we did one in 2022, one in 23. Series 3 is the 24 set, which is pre-ordered now. It did take us a lot longer to produce this one because we went above and beyond with everything we're doing. So to anyone's question they might have, well, who prints these? How do we trust it? I was able to find an executive at literally the biggest trading card printer in the entire world. And this executive in particular was tweeting about their interest in Bitcoin. That was the only way I was able to get them, because this company does not print small batches like this at all. But as a Bitcoiner, finding a Bitcoiner, I was able to make it happen. So you don't just have to trust our company that we're doing everything by the book and then some, but these printers, they don't mess around. The security detail behind these print runs are insane. I'm not even allowed to step foot into these areas without going through literally a background check, fingerprints, everything. I mean, to the point of potentially a retina scan. Just to get into these areas is how high security they are. So if anyone had the question, well, how do we know he's not going to print more? He can say 21,000 packs. This company, for our tiny project, there's no way in hell they're going to risk that, because that would look bad upon them. So it's further than just trusting our small company right now. It's trusting a multi-billion-dollar company that the last thing they're going to do is take a risk for this little project here. So all that being said, Series 3 is Warriors versus Villains. That is the theme. And we are pushing the envelope incredibly hard. We're putting a lot on blast that has never been done before in the trading card industry. I can use maybe some acronyms, WHO, WEF. Yeah, MIC, CIC. They can kind of get an idea of what those might be. But hopefully these don't get me banned entirely and this project shut down. But it's based, and we're pushing that envelope to really give the Bitcoiners something to collect and hodl that may be one of those things that is now banned and no longer allowed, which really becomes even that much more collectible and fun. But at the same time, I think it's going to be really cool to see some of these cards floating around eBay, floating around maybe PSA, because we're graded through all of the different top grading companies. And I'm going to get a chuckle myself out of being able to go on PSA and see like the big pharma card on there, and other people seeing that and how far we're pushing it. So no question, it is based as all hell. And this is probably going to be one of the most base sets we ever do, because we're either going to be banned or flagged or something from this. And potentially we won't be able to do something like this again. So this is the set, if you want to collect the most based trading card set in the history of trading cards, this is definitely the one you want to collect.
Love that. Yeah. So Series 3 pre-order, that is awesome. And you guys have even before this, right? I mean, I have in my little reel that plays in my videos, bankers hanging and all this sort of stuff. So you guys have never been shy to push the envelope, but it sounds like you've taken that to the next level with Series 3. So that's exciting stuff. You've referred at a number of times in this discussion to like the community. And I've had the pleasure to get to know some of the community around Bitcoin trading cards, some of the most genuine, awesome, like fun-loving Bitcoiners I've met, some of the realest people that I've met in general, not just sort of Bitcoiners. Obviously, community is so critical for Bitcoin in general, but it's also particularly critical to a project like this. What have you seen? Like, how has the community sort of evolved over time, thinking back to that like OG Series 1 Pacific Bitcoin up until now?
So in the beginning, like I said, we launched in November 2022, and this was the peak of the bear market. with basically everything that you could imagine happening in that weekend. So I think there's two things to that. One, the bear market can get boring. There's not a whole lot of number go up talk. It's a lot of crab walking and number go down. So the trading cards were perfect timing during the bear market to give people something to do, something to enjoy, communities to still build. I think I enjoy the bear markets far more than I do the bull markets. Obviously, number go up is great, but the bear markets is where these communities are really being built. And I think the biggest reason why our community has done so well and latched on and grabbed such amazing people is they are really people looking to smile, looking to laugh and get some enjoyment. Social media is just a melting pot of anger and arguments and armchair warriors. I personally am not a big fan of social media. I have to do what I have to do for the business side, but I don't even think I've touched my personal account in probably 4 or 5 months. And I probably need to jump on there and do that. But the point is, there's so much fighting and anger, and the world is a really sick place in a lot of ways. And social media shows all of that all the time. And as Bitcoiners, I mean, we're talking about fixing the world. That's our number one discussion. So, what do we have to talk about? The majority of it is how screwed up the world is. Otherwise, what is there to fix? So, with most of these topics being around all these red pill issues and how screwed up everything is and how Bitcoin can fix that, it gets pretty pessimistic at times. And just the discussions alone can be really sad and dark discussions. Well, these trading cards are a way to have a lot of these discussions, even the darker side ones, but get some enjoyment about it just because of how punchy and how hard we push the limits. Taxation as theft card is two wolves standing over a deep, dark pit with sheep's heads. So wolf in sheep's clothing, and they're literally dangling a man over the top of this hole, and all of his money is falling out of his pockets. And there's just a little pinch of how many different taxes we get hit with. So just the little pinch is about 15 different taxations falling down this hole. That takes a subject that is really sore to me and to a lot of Bitcoiners and kind of throws a little fun twist in it. And I think that's where the community really has band together and found ways to make Bitcoin as fun as possible. And then there's the fact of trading back and forth. Everything being digital and online, if you want to trade, like sell Bitcoin to somebody or any of these digital items, all of that can be basically done over the computer. You never really need to meet in person in any way, shape, or form. With the trading cards, the in-person trading, the needing to trust someone to send you a physical item, the confirmation is when the item actually shows up at your door. So if you do this without having at least one or two discussions with the person you're going to do this card trade with or buy their card, you're taking a big risk. So friendships that are created out of this has been one of the biggest benefits because you have to have so many interactions and usually you want to see the person's face. So I think that's where a lot of the community engagement and strength has come from, is really incentivizing more of a physical interaction with other human beings rather than it just being something you type back and forth.
No, I love that. And that comes through every conference I see you guys at. Your booth is absolutely jam-packed with people that are, either, someone giving signatures on their particular card or trading the cards. Like it really is, I think, something special that does connect people and being able to, yeah, acknowledge that simultaneously, yes, the world is a pretty dark place in many ways. And yet at the same time, like we have to be able to kind of laugh about it if we're going to seriously overcome some of these challenges. Like otherwise, we just end up being these sort of black pill defeatists that is just never going to win the day. But no, I love it. Aladdin, where can, speaking of conferences, are you guys going to any big conferences this year? Where can people follow you in general? And where can they importantly get their hands on some of these packs?
Yeah, Twitter, or I guess X, is the main place we're at. And then we're on Instagram as well. Again, we're trying to get that a little bit more dialed in. For anyone that's worried, it's literally like 95% educational posts on the trading cards and showing off the art. And so you can kind of get an idea of what we're doing there and community stuff that we're putting together. And then if you would like to come to the website and check out a little bit more of what we're doing, it's btc-cards.com. To make it simple for anybody, type in Bitcoin trading cards. We're number one on there. So that's really the easiest way to find us. Telegram group is the shit. That's where the community's at. Lots of fun. Usually Telegram, there are scammers. There are all kinds of schemes and shit going on in there. We have one of the most based Telegram groups I've ever seen, if not the most based. You come in and you try to scam in any way, you try to shitcoin anything, you're torn to shreds and you're out immediately. So it's a very safe place. And the community will warn you if you're getting into the trading cards of just about anything and everything you need to look out for. So it's an amazing place. Like you said, giant group of great Bitcoiners in there.
Yep.
So I highly recommend jumping in there. Check out the website and kind of get a little of an idea of what we're doing. We're still dialing in and trying to get this figured out. We are a small company. It's a couple buddies that got together to make this. There is no big conglomerate behind us, no funders. Right now, it is bootstrapped 100%. And yeah, we're doing it right. The proof of work is in there. We're in no rush, and we just want to make the best impact we can, time stamping the revolution.
Love it. Well, and it has been a genuine pleasure watching your journey over the last couple years. And I think you guys are doing it right. And the combination of this physical product, this amazing art, the educational component, again, has a whole very special place in my heart. So, my friend, it was a pleasure. We'll have to do this again very soon, but we have a lot to look forward to, I think, in 2025. So, thanks for taking some time and jumping on today.
Hey, thank you, brother.